It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, April 29th, 2025, and welcome to another impromptu live stream. I always like to say when I start these things off that if you're watching this after the fact and you want to check it live, one of the best ways to do that is to become a subscriber on my YouTube channel. And I would say the easiest way to do that is to go to colememo.com/YouTube and click the button that's on that page and jump right on over, hit subscribe, and you should be notified whenever I go live. I have gotten a few messages where people say that they haven't been notified, and I'll work out the best way to do that. I will say that I do try to post on social media as well. So if you're not following me on social media yet, maybe consider doing so. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, otherwise known as X. And I'm trying to get on other locations. You can also follow me on, I already mentioned Instagram. The handle is usually at the Cole Memo. Speaking of Cole, if you're seeing my screen right now, there's a fellow Cole here, and he says, "I'm here." Yes, welcome, Cole. Welcome, fellow Cole. Thank you so much for joining me. And before we get into this episode, I just want to say that if you want to try hemp beverages, I think there's no better brand than Cantrip. I'm holding up a can of their 50 milligram orange soda, which I am absolutely in love with. But they've also got sodas, seltzers, and so much more. And if you'd like to get those drinks at a discount, you can go to drinkcantrip.com/Cole Memo. And when you buy it, you get a discount. I get kicked some credit so that I can buy more THC infused sodas. I mean, what's better than getting THC infused sodas delivered directly to your door? I couldn't tell you what's better than that. I think that's one of the best things that has come in this modern era of cannabis. If you're watching live right now or after the fact, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing if you haven't already. And if you are tuning in live, comment below and we can display your comment just like I did with Mr. Cole's comment here. Thank you so much for tuning in today for another episode of
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memo is what allows this whole thing to go on.
I mean, you have to respect the memo.
Hey, this is Tommy Chong, and you're listening and watching The Cole Memo.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It is time for another episode. Shout out to my friend and I think one of the best content creators in this state, Cannabis Critique. He says, "We out here." Thank you so much, Alex, for tuning in and for always supporting me. And like I say, if you're listening to this after the fact, look up Cannabis Critique on YouTube and check out their reviews, especially if you're in Illinois and you're looking to make an informed purchase. I can't think of a better reviewer than Cannabis Critique. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He gives it to you straight. He's a straight shooter. Let's just keep it at that. So, folks, we've got a lot of news to cover today. First of all, if you've been watching previous episodes, if you've been following some of the stuff that I publish, there's been this odor-proof bill. It was actually supposed to be called today at 4 p.m. They didn't call it for a vote. So that's the latest on that. Maybe I can show you, this could be a good little educational opportunity, show you how to use, if you're from Illinois, this will show you how to use the Illinois government website. So in order to get to the Illinois government website, fun material, right? Just go to ilga.gov, and we are actually talking about a Senate bill. So let's take a look. We're looking at bills. We're talking about Senate Bill 64. So we're going to go here and we're going to scroll down to Senate Bill. It's actually Senate Bill 42, now that I think of it, not 64. It's called Vehicle Code, Cannabis and Vehicle. And as you can see, it was assigned to the Judiciary Criminal Committee on 4/17. If I click on that, go over here, You can see there was a notice of a hearing for April 29th. You can see that bill was first on the list. I think it's just because it's numbered by the bill numbers. And I tuned in live today, which I can show you if you're interested in how to do that. And unfortunately, it did not get called for a vote. So to tune in live, just to continue this little educational exercise, and apparently this website's going to be changing in the future. I did hear that. You notice it kind of looks like Craigslist, super classic looking website. Apparently, it's going to be getting an upgrade. I don't know if that means it's going to part with these classic ways of this classic appearance, but your guess is as good as mine on this. So let's try to apply some knowledge that we're gaining from this. So you can see that the hearing is set for April 29th, or was set for April 29th at 4 p.m. in room D1. That's a really important bit of information if you ever are wanting to catch this stuff live. So you can see there's actually a button here on the left-hand side. It says live audio and video. And when you click on that right now, since they're not live, there's nothing here. But when they are live, it will show the different rooms that they are streaming from. And that's where this critical bit of information comes in handy. You're going to want to, when you're presented with the options, you're going to want to look for the option that says room D1 or whatever location of a hearing that you're trying to tune into. So a little bit of a educational thing there. But yeah, again, what I'm hearing with regard to this bill is that it will be called for a committee vote later this week. And if you're wondering what the hell does this all even mean, a bill has to go through a committee before a chamber can vote on it. And so the bill has already, as I've covered on the show in the past, the bill has already gone through a Senate committee. It was voted on by the Senate and passed the Senate. And so now it must go through a House committee and then pass the House so that Governor Pritzker can decide whether or not he wants to sign the legislation into law. I always like to say, I don't know why he wouldn't sign it into law, but I've not heard his position on this bill. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine on that. But let's hope that Governor Pritzker is supportive of meaningful reforms such as that, which is, we've been discussing on this show for quite a while. Once again, we are live. So if you got any thoughts, comments, or whatever that you want to share, drop a comment. You can also join the show now at colememo.com/live. We're taking callers. Cole Cram said the bill passed the Senate 33-20. The party split is 40-19. Interesting numbers. Good analysis there, Cole. Turpy Take says, let's go. I agree. Let's go. And we will keep this show rolling right after this message.
Here in the Midwest, growing amazing food isn't just a hobby, it's who we are. And that's why we created Envy Plant Foods. Whether you're working on a farm or starting a backyard garden, growing hot peppers for sandwiches, or cool lettuce for a chopped salad, Envy has the perfect plant food for you. Blended in Illinois since 1962. Support the Cole Memo and save. Get 10% off fertilizer for your wheat garden at envyplantfoods.com with code CHILL10. Plus, an additional 10% of your order will go to the Cole Memo to help fund the show. Again, that's envyplantfoods.com.
Shout out to the folks from Envy Plant Foods, Illinois locals. I mean, come on. You got to support business, local business, and you can support the Cole Memo by shopping with them. So this was an interesting thing I saw on Reddit, specifically Illinois Trees, which is a really large cannabis subreddit that I definitely frequent. And I don't know if this is true. I'm just sharing what I'm seeing and what the post is described at. This person is saying that Michigan dispensaries are advertising via plane in Grundy County, Illinois. So this image, you can see it says, not to give this dispensary free advertising, but I'll just say a dispensary logo. And then you can see it says best in the Midwest. And apparently, this is according to this post. So, who knows? This could totally be that dispensary. Just kind of, I don't know. I don't know if this person actually was in Grundy County, Illinois. I don't know why you would lie about that, but let's just say this is true. That's fucking crazy. This is crazy. Because if they were doing that in Illinois, they're probably doing that in Indiana. And by the way, that advertising in Indiana is not particularly notable from my perspective, because if you've ever driven to Michigan, you see those advertisements for dispensaries in Indiana, which is funny. I always laugh at that. Indiana, basically a completely illegal state, has advertisements for dispensaries on your way to Michigan, which is a legal state. One of my favorite advertisements that I saw when driving through Indiana was a billboard that says you can buy as much as you want. I've gone to many dispensaries that let you indeed buy as much as you want, but to advertise that in Indiana, wow, wow, wow. Super interesting. So, to keep the show moving, I saw a really interesting article that I've been so busy, haven't been able to, share this with the audience. But this article, which if you're watching this after the fact, I'll put in the show notes. I try to link everything that I cover in the show notes. The headline is, if you want to Google it now, "Temptus in a Pipette: What a Typo in Illinois Regulation Reveals About the Insanity of Cannabis Testing Regulations." And I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm just going to kind of read a little summary that I wrote. Basically, this microbiologist, Sherman Home, highlighted that Illinois cannabis testing regulations are actually the result of a typo. They say it right here. Due to a transcription error, the limit was mistakenly lowered tenfold to 1,000 instead of 10,000 colony forming units per gram. I believe that's what the CFUG stands for. It's been a while since I've talked cannabis testing on the show. Maybe I can, if I can remember, I can show you an article that we definitely talked about this concept in. I had always thought that we just set this threshold low because legislators don't always understand what they're legislating, right? Not something that's necessarily new or unique. This person is making the case that this was a typo, a mistake that's never been corrected. And apparently it's made it, well, as we've covered in the past, it's made it more difficult for products to pass testing, and actually has driven the widespread use of a technique, or a few techniques, called remediation or kill steps, which potentially compromise product quality. And some people say safety. I don't know if I would go that far, but I'm also not an expert. So I would just say to read, do some research. And again, I'll try to actually pull up an article now if you're wanting to get your research started with somebody who's a cultivation expert. I believe if you go to colememo.com, and this could be another educational experience. This is how I find some of the stuff that I post, because I post a lot. So science of cultivation, I believe, is what I'm going to search. I'm at colememo.com. I'm searching science of cultivation in the top right-hand corner. And yes, episode 112 featuring Kyle Baker, who consults for a lot of the cannabis companies in this state. There's a lot of good talk about testing standards, what they mean, what they mean in practice, and what they actually mean. And we get into anything and everything cannabis testing. So definitely check that out at colememo.com. Apparently the typo is just like the beginning. Many states, including Illinois, still require plating-based CFU tests. And even though they fail to detect a large percentage of actual microbes and ignore more advanced methods like AOAC, let me try to find that and see if they define that. They don't define it, so that might be something else you need. This is a really sciencey article, but just to put it in other words, while these tests are meant to protect consumers, they may be doing the opposite. And we've heard that from Kyle Baker in that episode that I just looked up. We also heard it in, I'm going back to colememo.com so that I can show you. If you search up ACT Labs, we actually had somebody from a cannabis testing lab that said that the testing standards, while being so strict, may also be driving massive non-compliance, which doesn't sound good, right? So again, apparently these tests are meant to protect consumers, but they may be doing the opposite, blocking safe products, allowing some harmful ones through, and forcing producers into counterproductive workarounds, like I said, kill steps and remediation, which real bummer, right? Real bummer. Speaking of remediation, and I'm curious what our audience thinks, I recently found, and I posted this on April 14th, that Massachusetts is considering a requirement for cannabis products that have undergone kill steps or remediation to be clearly labeled. And I love this idea. I've talked to some of these companies, they've been on my show, they offer this technology, and they're always talking about, well, it's harmless. It's harmless, right? Um, okay, then let's label it just like we do with pasteurized products. If there's nothing to worry about, let's label the products, and that's what Massachusetts is considering. What do you all think about this idea? Should Illinois adopt something similar? These companies, from what I've seen, and I could try to find some testimony in other states, companies that offer this technology have argued against labeling requirements, arguing that it only serves to confuse the consumer. Um, I personally, don't feel like I would be confused. I feel like that would just be transparent. I'm getting some comments in, people saying 100%. I think they're saying 100% it should be labeled. Cole Cram says, put it on the label. Somebody said, personally, would never touch a product that was remediated. I just, I don't know. You say that, and I tend to agree with you, but apparently, a lot of the products we consume in our day to day life have been remediated. Maybe a lot. The word "a lot" is a broad brush, but what I mean to say is that I think peanuts and just nuts in general, wink for you, are irradiated. I believe different foods can be irradiated. And, as far as I know, in Canada, they have requirements to label irradiated foods, and I believe even irradiated cannabis. I believe the United States has similar provisions. Let's just do a quick Google irradiation labeling irradiated foods. Let's see. So, according to the USDA, irradiated foods must bear the Redura logo. So, like irradiated meat and poultry. And I'm just reading, do more research. I'm just reading quick Googles here, as you can see on my screen. The FDA requires that irradiated foods bear the international symbol for irradiation. What about labeling remediated foods? Not finding much. Looks like it's kind of focused on cannabis. But anyways, I'm just curious, what do you all think? Should these products be labeled? I don't know. Here's a really good take that I'm so glad got posted. Some remediation, like washing, is completely different from radiation remediation and other methods. Yes, exactly. I've heard that some people that grow outside will remediate their cannabis with water. They'll wash it off. Just it's been outside. Let's make sure it's clean. Water falls on plants all the time, especially if you're growing outdoors. So water doesn't hurt. Water can clean, and like you say, that's a form of remediation that seems just fine. So remediation isn't a bad word, and maybe some remediation is okay. I don't know. Just asking questions, curious um, what everybody thinks. And someone said that's why I don't shop. Grow your own if you're able. Hit me up if you're not. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's where Massachusetts is going. I hear other states are going that way. So yeah, um, kind of a bummer. Like I said, just to switch topics for a second, I was just looking at my notes that odor-proof container law didn't get heard in committee, but like I said, I'll keep you updated on all of that. Someone said, in my opinion, it's unethical not to label it as remediated if it's irradiation. Yeah, I think that uh, if foods are required, then if foods are required to be labeled as irradiated, then I think, maybe cannabis should be too. And Cannabis Critique says, yeah, that's my take on it. I honestly don't know if it's a bad thing or just a marketing tactic that from brands that supposedly don't do it. That's a really good, a lot of these people will stick. And that's a really, I'm glad you brought that up. Some people have started to say, our cannabis has never been remediated or irradiated or whatever. Prove it. That'd be cool if we had a labeling requirement that required people to prove it. But back to your original point and back to something I was trying to say. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't know. I really don't know. Just trying to share. So all right. Well, I don't know if you guys heard, but the States 2.0 Act was introduced. This is some federal legislation. Apparently, a bipartisan group in Congress has reintroduced the States 2.0 Act, a bill that would end federal cannabis prohibition in states where it's legal. The bill would block federal enforcement against individuals and businesses operating within state or tribal cannabis laws, allow interstate cannabis commerce, and create a basic federal framework for oversight and safety without forcing new federal taxes. So, Marijuana Moment did some reporting on this. I'll display that on my screen, and I'll encourage you to read the fine print, at least on so Marijuana Moment's really good. I'm not a big fan of all the ads. But if you scroll down, first of all, I recommend you to read some of the reporting they did. But if you scroll down, you can actually see the full text of the States 2.0 Act. I recommend that you check it out. I personally haven't combed through it all. And now that I'm seeing how long it is, I'm like, Cole, what the fuck? Why haven't you taken the time to do that? It's 15 pages long. 15 pages. Take a look at it. See what you think. I should have done that before I got on the show. But it is what it is. I will be right back after this message.
Sun-Drenched Farm is the manifestation of my dream to be able to provide for my family through offering natural alternative forms of healing and wellness, the same forms that I've been so fortunate to experience on my journey in healing from Lyme disease. With in-house cultivation, solventless extraction, and final product manufacturing, we're able to offer the highest quality product that you can find now at sundrenchedfarm.com.
And speaking of Sun-Drenched Farms, just because I know Cannabis Critique is in here, dude, you got to try some Sun-Drenched Farms cannabis. It's fucking fire. It is fucking fire. I've had a few different samples, and it's great. So if I can make that connection, I would love for that to happen. I'm displaying on my screen right now Jeremy Burke, who you may know from Cultivated News, is saying it looks like Colorado has put out a request for bids to replace Metric as the state's track and trace system earlier this month. Metric's contract expires in 2026, and as some of you may know, the state of Illinois is going to be switching to Metric in the near future. And if you'd like to read about that, I can show you the article that I wrote at colememo.com. It's headlined, Illinois begins transition to Metric for cannabis tracking. BioTrack set to shut down July 1st. So if you go to colememo.com and search that up, I'll try to put that link in the show notes as well after the fact, like I was saying. If you're tuning in live and you're wanting some of these links, come back later and I'll have the show notes posted. I always try to get those show notes going. And speaking of Metric, not only is Colorado looking to change, but Metric's looking to change. I just received a press release in my email the other day. I'm doing what I can to connect with the folks at Metric. One of the things I've covered on the show in the past is that, from what I hear, people in different states say Metric is, let's just say, not very sustainable because you're required to use their RFID tags, but their RFID tags were not recyclable. Well, the company in a press release has said that they've redesigned their tags to use 30% less plastic with a single layer format that reduces total production waste by 46%. According to Metric, the changes are expected to divert 185,000 pounds of material from landfills and reduce carbon emissions by 295 metric tons per year. Metric stated that the new tags began rolling out gradually across metric markets in February, with a full implementation expected in the coming months, which is great because that's just around the time that Illinois will be switching over to metrics. So hopefully they'll address that. That'll be two things that metric has addressed. One of the things that I had shared in some of my early writings about our transition to metric was that uh, the costs for the tags, not only are they not green, for lack of better words and pun intended, um, apparently they cost a lot. And from the perspectives that I spoke to from other states, they were saying that they cost so much that those prices get passed down to consumers, which consumers are paying enough here in Illinois. So it's just like, man, I don't know if we can bear any more price increases. But one of the other things they addressed, and it's covered in the article that I was just referencing, is that um, licensees will receive state-funded RFID tags. So I guess we'll be paying for it with our taxes now. I'm just joking. I don't know. I don't know where the money's coming from. I mean, I assume actually, jokes aside, I assume it actually is from our taxes. Whether it's the cannabis taxes or some other way that they're getting taxes. Yeah. So two things that I have written about that have been addressed, or at least partly, operators don't have to buy their tags. It's state funded. I think within reason is what the state's press release said. Like, it's not like they can just get as many tags as they want. I don't know what within reason. I don't know if that's the phrasing they used either. I could probably check that out here. Let's see. Let's just take a brief look here. What does it say? I don't see it. Here it is. Through state funding, cannabis business establishments will not be charged for Metric's RFID tags subject to certain restrictions. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing that means like to an extent. You're not just going to be able to buy as many metric tags as you want. So anyways. Also today, pretty big news, and I think this might be my last story that I'll cover today. I've got other news stories that I would like to get to, but we'll do it another day. I'm a busy person. A new portal for the Illinois medical cannabis patients and caregivers has gone live. So I first reported in January of 2023 via the Chillinois podcast, Blast from the Past, that Illinois was planning to overhaul its medical cannabis portal. Michael Morthland was in a meeting that I attended with the Cannabis Regulation Oversight Officer, and he basically said, there's a new portal coming out. And today it came out. They announced it. I don't know. I wrote an article about it. Within the last few weeks, they announced it. But it's live. It's live. Fuck it. We'll do it live. I've gotten into the system. It's pretty smooth. It's got a multi-factor authentication, which is cool. A little bit more secure. Yeah, it's pretty good. What was I going to say with this? Oh, it's on Salesforce. So I did some digging, and so you can see right here, this is the when you log into it, this is what you'll see, and it says Home Illinois Cannabis, but it's got this little blue cloud next to it. That's the Salesforce logo. And in an article that I released on January 26th, I did some digging through state procurement documents, nerd alert, and found that we would be transitioning from IntelliTrack to Salesforce. I wasn't exactly sure, if that was true, but this proves that I was on the right track, and made me feel kind of cool. I'll be just completely honest. I doubt anybody cares about this. It's not like anybody's like, yeah, it's on Salesforce now. I mean, I think what most people are noticing is that the system is better. I hope if you're having troubles, please reach out. I would love to capture your perspective, because transitions like these have not always been so smooth. Someone Mason commented in he posted a comment that said Sherlock Cole. I like that. Yeah, in the past, and I kind of wrote about this in this article, the last time Illinois transitioned its patient portal for the medical cannabis program, the process was anything but smooth. Check out these hyperlinks because I did interviews with patients and physicians, and we talked about all of the different issues that affected people. So if you haven't seen your email yet, check it out. If you didn't get it, which I have heard some people didn't get it, I would say check your junk mail. The first few emails I thought I didn't get, and then I checked my junk mail and there it was. But if you really, really didn't get it, I have pasted the full content of the message along with the FAQ guides, the FAQ and the guide, I should say. There's a how-to guide, and then there's a frequently asked questions article that they posted. And yeah, I mean, I logged in and it's fine. So it'll be interesting to see once I'm due for renewal how that all works, because the last system was super easy to deal with. And well, I just hope that the same can be said going forward. If you didn't check out my episode that I streamed live yesterday, I definitely recommend doing it. We did it with the folks from the Two Dope Dudes from the Elevated News podcast. You can find them at supportdopepeople.com, and they have one of the best cannabis shows in the state of Illinois that covers the state of Illinois. I will say they probably have the best show that covers cannabis news in the state of Illinois, cannabis culture in the state of Illinois. And tomorrow, every Wednesday, I should say, at 12:15 p.m., their new episodes release. So definitely check them out. Support dope people like Aaron and Dave who came on this show. It was a really good episode. Like I said, it came out yesterday, which is April 28th. And yeah, Cannabis Critique commented and said, glad mine is good midway through 2026. Yeah, I think I'm the same there. I'm at least going to be able to float until hopefully they'll iron out the kinks before you and I have to renew, right? That's the hope. And Mason says, yes, sir. Great people. I'm thinking you're referring to Aaron and Dave. Yeah, super great guys. We had a great conversation. Looking forward to the next one we can do. And like I said, though, check out their episodes. They release every Wednesday, 12:15 p.m. And I think with that, like I said, I do have more news, but I think we'll start to close out the show because we have other things to do tonight. So with that, I'll just say, if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment. All of the engagement helps. It puts the show in front of other people's eyes, and I really do appreciate the support. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope you found value in this episode. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.
Beginning January 1st, 2020, the recreational use of cannabis will be legal in the state of Illinois.
Available to stream now, my mini doc dives into the history of Illinois legalization, starting with
January 1st. What should we expect? The biggest thing that we need people to understand is that January 1, in terms of the criminal justice system here in this state, is the end of prohibition.
See how Illinois missed its chance at real cannabis reform with key failures, including the fact that
the program includes regulation on possession limits.
So people can still be arrested for possession.
And I want to highlight that in its first year of legalized recreational marijuana in the state of Illinois, they arrested 3 times as many black people for possession than any other race.
We've run into so much cannabis, we've run out of places to put it.
I have represented people and taken their cases through the court system who got charged with more serious crimes only because the police said that they smelled cannabis. And not because the police said you have illegal cannabis, or not because you have too much cannabis, or not because you're high on cannabis, but because I can smell it and that's it.
Attorney goes, he understands that he can't be smoking and his cannabis flower shouldn't be open. And I was like, I'd like to say for the record that I was not smoking and my flower was not open.
So that's where we're at right now in Illinois.
Yeah.
And I hope it changes.
Start watching now at colememo.com/minidoc.